Today can be the turning point in your life by making a simple decision.
Fundamental questions of navigation. Where am I? Where am I going? And how do I get there from here?
I invite the leaders of our planet to ask themselves these three questions before they make any crucial decisions.
But if you don't make decisions, you're going to stay right where you are.
We are all map makers.
We are in a time of transition.
If we're going to change, we have to change the direction that we're going.
Our planet needs leaders who know where they want to go.
When we change the direction we're going, then we want to make sure we're going in the right direction.
Leaders who can see the big picture.
Because if we're not, we're going to either go backwards or we're going to stay where we are.
Recognizing the psychological and the spiritual shifts and changes that need to be made, often from the inside to the outside.
To be able to shape your future, you have to be willing and able to change your paradigm.
Complex journeys require navigation. The path to the truth is one such journey. This is your GPS. Hairstyling services provided by J.D. Edwards Salon and Spa, Palmdale Shopping Plaza, Madera Street. Accessories provided by Chevette Williamson Jewelry. Standout jewelry for standout women. And good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. I am your host, Michelle Malcolm, and as always, it's a pleasure to be in your company today. Thank you so much for tuning in to the show. So, some shows I have to really go and do all kind of research and prepare all kind of videos and all this kind of stuff because I know if the guests I can have, I'm going to be able to, carry it. But I could go to sleep early last night. I really had to worry about finding no video and all the kind of things because this guest who I have in the studio with me today, let me tell you all something. Sweet girl, she don't play, okay? She is none other. Let's see if we can get that wide shot up. She is none other. There you go. Now, push it. Yeah, so you can see her good, right? Because we want everybody to be able to see her. What is that white thing going across the screen? What is that? Okay, my producer is fixing that shot. Now you got to bring it back over because now you just got me out of the shot altogether. Okay, so my guest today, for those of you listening and who can't see what he's working on, is none other than Fontella Chipman Rolle. That's plenty name. But guess what, y'all? She lives up to every syllable and every name included in her name. Fonzie.
How you doing?
Happy New Year, girl.
Same to you, darling. Same to you. It's so good to see you.
Every time I see you, you look younger.
Man, I try.
You're doing more than trying. You need to share the phone to the youth and stop, keep it out to yourself.
That's the gym.
Okay, you just marched some serious corn now.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been in the gym since before the first lockdown.
Well, you way overdue.
Yeah, I little overdue. But I will get back there very, very soon because I little vain and I can't be looking my age and I starting to see little things popping out would say, it's showing the age. So I got to work on that. Get back in the gym because that's, as a health coach, you really should be in the best shape of your life. You can't, you know what I mean? You can't be telling people to get in shape and then you ain't in shape.
Yeah, it's a physical and a mental thing, eh?
You understand. So there you go. So Fontella Chipman Rolle is my guest today. And you out there may know her as Miss Change the System. Because she was very vocal in changing the system. She had enough one day and she walked into the House of Assembly and they thought she'd just come there to listen. And boy, did she put it on them that day. She stood up and she said, enough is enough. Change the system. Now, some of y'all youngins only know her from that notoriety, but Fonzie, she and I go way back. I was actually a judge the year when she competed in Miss Bahamas and she actually won that. and went on to go off and compete in Miss Universe on behalf of the nation. So I've known Fontella for a very, very long time. And from the very day that I met you, I always found you to be someone who was, what's the word I'm looking for? Dedicated to your passion. Even at that young age, you came across as someone who was quite passionate about what you were interested in doing. And so it was no surprise to those of us who have known you for a long time to see you take the stand that you did, because that's just who you are.
Yes.
Now, it don't hurt that you got little Chipman blood in you.
Yeah. No, that doesn't hurt at all.
Anybody who know about the Chipmans and Chippy, y'all know that in her blood.
Right.
Poor child couldn't help herself. But in all seriousness,
Mhm.
what was it that made you say enough is enough? We have to make a change.
Well, first of all, Michelle, I want to say hi to you and to the Bahamas, and thank you for having me here today. I want to always give thanks to God. You know, Michelle, I always do that, because to speak in this forum, speaking to God's people, it's always a privilege, and I don't take it lightly. So as I do that, I always ask God for his direction to speak and to say the truth. Let every word that I say, Lord Heavenly Father, go with the right intent, received with the right intention. Heavenly Father, let my words empower, uplift a people, enlighten a people. Lord God, so as we continue on this, just this girl talk today and speaking to our nation, Lord God, let every person that hears our voice be empowered by what we are about to say. Let nothing be taken with the wrong motive, because sometimes our communication can be misunderstood. But let it be known, dear Lord, that we are here to empower each other and to uplift our nation. So I thank you, Heavenly Father, for your presence here today. Amen.
Amen. Now, do you have your audio turned up on your device? No? I'm hearing some kind of, that's her device? Okay, so you need to turn the audio down on your device.
Okay, let's do
And
that.
that way we won't get that
There you go.
feedback.
And
Perfect.
I can't seem to hear you on the.
You're still
the
not hearing on the
headphones.
headphones. Okay, my producer's going to work on that, but I can
Okay.
hear you perfectly.
There you go.
Okay, good.
Okay.
So,
Well, Michelle, like you said, it all started with that day in Parliament, right?
mhm.
And we're now seeing the result of what we just experienced, a general election. But it wasn't until I was really, how could I put it, educated
Mhm.
by my brother, Reese Chipman, who was the then MP for Centerville, as to really what was happening in our country.
Mhm.
And I was not involved, like we're not, right? Most of us on a day-to-day basis, we're just about our business.
Right.
We're here trying to take care of our families, our children, doing the best we can, trying to be the best person that we can. And I realized, especially when we started looking into my family's situation with the Chipman property, it just blew my mind as to what was going on in the belly of this country. You know, so we see everything at a surface, but the belly of this country was just in total turmoil
Mhm.
in terms of how we've seen these political parties and the political the politicians really, I mean, abuse the people of this nation,
Right.
abuse their privilege in their positions. And to me, I just was so frustrated with the thought of that after being around it and hearing about it. There's so much we don't know in Parliament. There's so much we don't know about our laws. There's so much that we don't know it's so flagrant in terms of how they treat the people of this country. And with all of that, I went there that day. Of course, I've told the story that I went there just to listen, right? And I had it planned out. Of course, the nerves and the fear is there because you're doing something that you never thought you would have to resort to,
Mhm.
you know, especially in your country. So I went there, I sat and I watched the puppets. I watched how they sat in their places and everybody assumed their role. And at that moment, I had some bracelets that had Chipman Strong on it because, Michelle, my intention was to throw the bracelets. Well, that's what happened. Throw the bracelets in the middle of Parliament.
Okay.
But it landed on a few of the desks,
Okay.
the politicians' desks.
Okay.
But the idea was to let them know that the Chipman family is fully aware of what they have done to us over these years, fully aware. And this generation, our generation, my generation, is not going to sit back and let it happen. My grandparents, those because of fear, Michelle, and the times that they were in, of course, they trusted other persons, other people.
Right.
And those persons let them down, of course, because they knew what my grandparents and his siblings was entitled to was way beyond what they expected him to have. So for me, that day I went in there, I was just frustrated. The ambition was to let them know that we know exactly what happened.
Okay. Okay. So that's where it all started.
That's where it all started.
But it has clearly grown beyond just your concern for your family situation, because would I be correct in saying that was sort of the catalyst that pushed you towards entering the political front line?
Definitely.
Okay. Tell us about that process.
So when, again, my brother always said to me, Fontella, you need to run in politics. You need to run in politics. You have a heart for the people. You want to do right by them. And I'm sitting back thinking, I don't know about this. I have a mouth, I have a voice. I think God has blessed me with this voice, because people don't recognize my name, but once they hear that voice, they'll say, I know that. But so I was stenching a long time. I'm just sitting back watching, and of course, being just so sickened by what I was learning, and now I'm aware of, because my brother, he's enlightened me.
Right.
And there were certain things I could look out for, certain laws that I know were being broken in our parliaments, things that weren't being, the parties that are not being transparent with the people. These are things that I watched. Now that I was aware, it's almost like spiritually your eyes are open to these things, and you can see the abuse that's going on in our nation. And so I'm sitting back thinking, oh my gosh, we said, Fontella, you got to get in it. You got to get in it to make that change. We're sitting outside, and I want everybody that's listening to me, and this is really the general consensus. We're sitting and we're looking outside of everything, and we're complaining, and we're talking what needs to be done or how it should be done. We have all the ideas in the world, Michelle,
right?
But we're not willing to take that stand, And so as my brother kept encouraging me, and I just, one day I just made up my mind. I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. I can't sit back, knowing what I know, seeing what I have seen, and just not do anything to try change the system.
Right.
For me to do that will be totally just not acknowledging that I have a future for my country. I have a future for the young people of this nation. And all that came with a sacrifice, because here I am. I have a business. You're trying to run your business. You're trying to get involved with the community. You're trying to open their eyes to see what needs to be done in order to make this change. So it's a sacrifice on your personal character. It's a sacrifice on every image that you have, because it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you know that too.
Well, listen, I still can't believe I did that.
I know, right?
Because a couple of weeks prior to the election, you were trying to talk me into it.
That's right.
And I was like,
That's
girl,
right.
Fontella, please. I on your run. Okay, so I still don't understand how I get mixed up in that. Like, something happened. I still don't understand how that happened, but there I was.
But there you were, Michelle. Here I say you, me, the other young ladies, Pierre, who is now in the government.
Yeah.
Here we were setting a precedent to say that we are willing to come out of our box. We are willing to do something that we have never done, because we believe that change needs to happen. Eh?
Right.
And that's what I was trying. Just how Reese was telling me you needed to do it, I was telling you that. I was telling Rashay that. I was telling everyone that I thought had that avenue to step in and make that text. Let people see that you were willing to do it. And with that, the hopes of them moving will be empowering to them. And it has, Michelle. We might think that we didn't make that massive change, or it didn't happen as how we wanted to, because I would have wanted to be in the House to push and fight for things for this country. But knowing every day someone stops me and say, you know, Ms. Chipman, I really appreciate what you did, or I tell my daughter they can do it now, or I see things differently. That right there, you know, I say to God, I thank you, Heavenly Father, because that is what you wanted me to do, because I believe everything happens in its time. Eh?
That's an interesting perspective. Now, I will say this. I'm calling the show today based on a conversation that you and I had prior to the show. I'm calling the show today Changing the System from Politicians to Future Influencers.
Yes, I saw
which
that.
were
That
your
was
words,
powerful.
right?
Yes.
Now, we could sit here as much as we like and say what you just said, which I'm not disputing,
Right.
that we did, you know, empower people by making them think that this is something that can be done. And there were some of us who sat around that table that day who were successful. Pia
That's right.
is now,
That's
you know,
right.
playing her role. But the truth is, the system that we have now is set up so that it appears that you can only have success if you are a part of one of the two big systems. It's not to say that you cannot succeed outside of being a part of that group of puppets as you described it earlier in the show, right? Not to say that you can't succeed if you're not ingrained in that, but it's set up so that you have to be ingrained in that to have a better chance of success. And as much as we hear people complain, oh, I know you heard it, and I certainly heard it. Oh, I sick and tired of the PLB, and I sick and tired of F&M, and we need a change, we need a change, we need a change. And if you so fool to believe them,
right,
and put all your hope and trust in that,
Yes.
you can be in for disappointment come election night.
Why?
Right? Because mouth could say
Yes,
anything, but
yes,
money buy
and that
land.
is- yeah.
So if the system is set up to almost guarantee your failure unless you are a part of one of the two major groups, is that why you are saying that we need to look at just getting rid of the whole system? Why do you think the system itself needs to be revamped?
You know, Michelle, that's it. And I often, as disappointed as I am in where we are as a country, I also have to remind myself that this system, there was once a system before Martin Luther King stood up. There was once a system that's set in place that is telling us the same thing that told them, persons like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, these generation changes.
Now you have a point.
You know,
you have a point.
And this is what I hold on to, Michelle. I have to hold on to this, because then you're overwhelmed. You feel like it cannot be done.
Right.
But you have to remind yourself that these systems were put in place until someone decided that I will fight, until someone made that decision to do something different and be committed to it. So every time I got discouraged, I just kept reminding myself, that this change that we fight for now is not for me. It is for a future generation. And if you're unselfish enough to understand that, but knowing that you have a role to play in the maturity of that.
Keep that microphone in mind now. Keep that microphone in mind. Yeah.
Knowing you understand, knowing that this is your role and you have to be committed to it.
Right.
That change might not come when you think.
Right.
I'm sure Martin Luther King would have loved to be here to see this point to where we have come. But sometimes it's your role
just to plant the seed.
Just to plant that seed and to inspire a generation to see something different. And for me, I'm telling you, I learned so much lesson from that last election. Actually, I'm still on I call it political sabbatical. I chose not to comment on any politics. I chose not to be involved in any politics for 6 months after the election.
Okay.
And that was personal.
Right.
I have people on Facebook, where are you now? Why aren't you saying this? Why aren't you doing this?
Right.
I have to remind myself and them that what I experienced during that election, Michelle, was powerful to me. I didn't blame the politicians. And I'm going to say something to my people that I pray God directs it right to them so they understand the intent. I realized, Michelle, it was not the politicians. It's where we were as a people in our mindset.
Mm,
It had nothing to do with the politicians. They just exploited what they knew we were.
right.
So we sit here and we talk about what the politicians have done. No, they just recognize that the mindset of the Bahamian people is one that they can manipulate. I said to someone, if you have money and patience, you can literally buy yourself to the prime minister position of this country.
Ouch.
You can literally.
That's a serious statement, girl.
It's a serious statement, and I stand by it. The money is going to help you, but the patience for you to just position yourselves and wait your turn. Don't speak out. Don't say anything that's going to
Know your
cause
place.
the grind. Know your place. And you have that money and that patience to sit it out. It's happened. It's happened over the last few elections. See it. Watch it.
Wow.
That day, on election day, the money won. I watched it. I experienced things I've never thought I would see. Persons asking for their money after the election. You see it, and my team. Do you want us to take? No. Leave it alone. It goes deeper, Michelle. So for me to come and say, "Oh, look what happened. This would happen." No, I have to start thinking now. I have to start going back. What is it that I can do now to influence the next generations? Because I'm going to tell you, Michelle, we have lost a whole generation of fighters. We have lost a generation of people who are committed to make sure that this country is great. We have lost that. What we have gained is a country full of conformers, a country full of people that are selfish in their motive. We don't, and I got that on the politician, on the trail, political trail. What are you going to do for me? I can't believe that I was hearing these things. This is what it was about.
Right.
Not the neighborhood, not the community, not
Yeah.
the country at large.
Mhm.
And it shows you that we are such a far place and we are far away from where we should be. And that's why the politicians can move in with their money now and change an election. Because of our mindset. Where are we? So for me, Michelle, I had to step back. I sit back, and as the people come to me on Facebook, what are you? Where are you? No, I'm not here to move on your emotions. I'm not here
that's
to
powerful.
move because you think I should say something.
Mhm.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Don't wait for Fontella Chipman Rolle to make the move and to fight your battles, because what? The numbers will show it at the election poll, just like my brother said. Fontella, the numbers. So you could promise, Fontella, and we have a culture that we cannot even be truthful. I'm going to vote for you. But the numbers, Michelle, the
Yeah.
numbers show you that
Yeah.
we can't even be truthful to ourselves.
Mhm.
So when we sit back, and so for me, the whole experience put me in a position where I had to literally push myself back away from my people, right? Because we understand where our people are, that we're not truthful.
Right.
We're selfish. We just see the now. We don't see the future.
Mhm.
And so I had to step back and ask God, show me what was the lesson in all of this. Obviously, it was not my time
Mhm.
because the results said that.
Right.
But what was the lesson in this? How now? There still need to be a change.
Yeah.
My country is still deficient. What is it now? And what is my role? What is that lesson that you took me through all of this to experience? And it kept coming back to, and as we say, future influencers, it kept coming back to, how do I change the mindset of a generation now? And how do I go back to the primary schools? Do we go back to the primary schools where we empower our children, where we let them know that they are capable of doing anything they put their mind to?
Mhm.
Where do we go? And how do we start? Do we start sewing this fabric all over again?
Yeah.
Go back to that grind where our parents struggled and we saw that and we took that on and we moved that to another level and we understood that truth counts. We understood that we only take care of ourselves, but we look out for our neighbors, and the whole community at large was happy back then. Right? When I was younger, you could go to next door. Oh, Miss Freddie, I get up. She giving you a cup and a baggie. You even ain't got to pay. If you have the money, you have it. But we don't do that anymore.
Right.
But I could say that, just like you said, we talk about all of that and we say these things, but does it happen? How do we now make that happen?
Mm-hmm.
And I am so convinced that there's a generation that's lost. All I do is continuously think about what I'm going to do to encourage children in primary schools.
I think you need to turn the audio down again on your device. Okay, I want to ask you something, because you're talking about we have lost an entire generation to conformity. Now, you have a lot of young folks who are coming up, these millennials and
Yes.
younger,
Yes.
right? And they are not conformists by any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
But
Right.
I do have a pet peeve as it relates to them. And this is a generalized statement,
Right.
even though it obviously doesn't apply to every single
Right.
one of them, but it's
Correct.
a generalized statement. They don't have, they haven't been beaten down to the point of being conformists, but they don't want to put in the work.
Yes. Yes.
This is a microwave
Mhm.
generation.
Yes.
I want everything fast. I want it now. I ain't
Mhm.
trying to put in no work to get it.
Mhm.
And there's certain things you have to put in the work.
Yes. It's a process.
It's a process. And
It's a
so,
process.
how do we get this younger generation to realize, yeah, it's good to have the courage. It's good to have
Yeah.
all of that, but you got to put in the work.
Mhm.
How do we
Mhm.
get to that point?
What is amazing to me too was in the last election, we talk about all the
Millennials.
millennials. But what I recognized and what I noticed at the end of the election was that they didn't turn out.
Exactly.
They didn't turn out. And you, just like you said, you had those out there that were pushing and talking, but they didn't turn out.
All the power in their hands.
All the power in their hands.
So-
we expected that if they turned out, that's it.
Yeah.
Because we know it's a certain portion of the electorate was sold. They're in their old ways.
Right.
But we were counting on the numbers now to change the situation for what they want.
And they had
what
the
see.
numbers.
They had the numbers. So what is it that kept them back from not coming out that day? What is it, after all the talk, that they were still reluctant to come and make that change? Many of them on the trail, Michelle, would say, "Oh, I didn't register." You know how many
I heard that a
children
lot.
told me that?
I heard that a lot.
I didn't register. Most of them, they're leaving the country. I'm leaving the country. I really don't care. And one thing, they surely are not, they're not afraid to tell you how they feel. "Oh, I'm leaving the country. I don't care what happens here. I'm leaving. I'm doing this. I don't feel like." It's something that is missing. So as we keep talking and talking, I try to ask God to show me what it is to get into the minds of these young people, because most of them are just so consumed with leaving the country. They are so frustrated with the system in terms of when they come back to their country, they're not honored in the way they should, whether it's economically, whether coming back and living in the ghetto where they're from, they feel like when they went away to school, they were better off. But somehow there's not a connection. And Michelle, I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't quite understood the way to get to that as yet.
Mhm.
And in this 6 months, I've been asking all those questions and asking how to be directed to empower and encourage them.
Yeah.
Because they were the decision the last election. They had the power.
Have they
They
turned
have
out?
the knowledge, they have the ambition, but like you say,
They don't want to put in the
they
work.
don't want to put in the work.
They don't want to take no time to research nobody or nothing. They
No,
just,
no, it is what it is. And sometimes even for me as someone, they see me as a person who, yeah, get it done, or I'm gonna voice it. But even in that voicing, that comes with something else. You just can't be running off at the mouth just to say things.
Mhm.
And this is why what I encourage my Facebook people or friends who ask me what's going on. No, it's not about that. It's about really understanding the depth of what your cause is.
Listen,
The fight. It's not about doing that.
we have to take a break, but you just touched on something that is another pet peeve for me when it comes to the younger generation. They would rather go to Facebook or Instagram and say, well, why is such and such and such? And I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, so this is the source of your research? You don't want to take
Correct.
the time to go find out
Correct.
the answer, but you want to come on social media and kick up a storm
Yes.
because that's popular.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
a problem.
That's a
Because you
problem.
can't affect real change that
That's
way.
right.
All you're doing is beating up your
Temporary
gum
solution.
to hear
That's right.
yourself.
Yes. Yes.
Anyway, we got to take a break.
Mhm.
My producer playing music, so he trying to tell me something. So we're going to take this break. When we come back, we're going to continue the conversation with Fontella Chipman Rolle. We're talking about changing the system from politicians to future influencers. This is GPS. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 Hyperimmune Egg Powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, paints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires, cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Glasses love.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Longevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun. Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm in your company. My guest today is Fontella Chipman Rolle. We're talking about changing the system from politicians to future influencers. Before we dive back into the conversation, I want to read this advisory for you. And this is coming in from the Department of Meteorology. They're advising that beachgoers should refrain from entering the waters due to rough surf and the high risk of dangerous rip currents. And Met officials say hazardous beaching and boating conditions will continue today, and small craft operators are also being urged to remain in or near port, and residents in Eleuthera should exercise caution while crossing the glass window bridge. That is a message from the Met Office advising beachgoers and boaters to exercise extreme caution due to rough weather conditions. So, as I said, my guest today is none other than Fontella Chipman Rolle. We're talking about changing the system from politicians to future influences. And it seems that the statement that we made prior to going to the break has touched some nerves. I want to read a couple of the comments here. This one is from Marvin. Marvin says, put Facebook, TikTok, Instagram on the ballot, and I wonder what would happen. Rochelle says, boy, Rochelle, this is a long one. Rochelle says, no, it's not popular. It's democratic. I think that is a step in the right direction. People can say what they want on social media or wherever. There's no censorship. Or is the generation before still programmed in the corruption mindset of saying nothing? Saying something even via social media brings awareness. This is the reason why the country is a two-party system, because everyone should keep quiet and then get some money and then enter politics. Not everyone is supposed to be a politician. How do you respond to Rochelle?
I guess, she has a view, and I agree to her to some extent, because of course, Facebook and our social medias give us an avenue to voice, which we probably would be fearful of saying or in the right context. But we too, Rochelle, have a responsibility, right? We just can't take anything and just send it or respond to it, because we know social media is used for good and for bad. How can we expound on something that we know is false? So we as a people have a responsibility, even though it's popular, even though that's what's streaming and everybody's looking at. Is it right? Is it the truth? Now, it's good to say and it's good to voice, but do you want to be the catalyst to voicing something that is not true? Now, that is irresponsible. Now, you want to voice and you want to have a conversation, and we could diplomatically sit down and talk and discuss. That's perfect. And you say it's democratic. Yes, you're right. Democratic, that you have a voice, I have a voice, everybody has a voice. But in all of that, in all of our democracy, we have a responsibility to each other, to our country, to our people, to our children, to make sure that it is done in the right way. So when you say, if we are like the old persons who doesn't want to shut up and no, that is not what I went into Parliament for. I don't want you to sit back and don't say anything. But what I don't want you to do is, like I was talking to Michelle during the break, is move on emotions. Let me tell you, the politics have used the emotions against us. Not because I see something and I hear something, I react. That's what they have done to us. We've seen it over and over. I don't know if you're old enough to know, Rochelle. When it was elections, then, of course, the government played Roots, where you saw Black people in slavery, so enslaved. So they moved on our emotions. When it's political time in the season, you see them throwing out tidbits of certain things. That's just to get our emotions running, that we could move just how they want us to move. So yes, I want you to voice. Yes, I want you to speak out. But how we do that now is a level of responsibility on how we as a people move forward. So yes, bring the awareness. Open up, show all the faults we have, because through knowing our faults, we are able to recognize them, correct them, and build on the future of this country. So that, in that aspect, I am all with you. I am for you.
Yeah, I think Rochelle didn't quite understand where we were going with that line of conversation, because nobody, certainly not me, we're not knocking social media. I mean, nowadays, you'll find that social media, a lot of the news agencies are looking to see what's trending on social media to see what they should cover as news.
Correct.
So I am in no way trying to knock social media, but what I am saying is that as opposed to only going on social media and making noise, saying what you got to say, how about doing something more than that?
Yes.
Here's an example. And I feel bad that I'm going to call this young lady out. I'm not going to call her name or anything, because everybody will remember the situation. I don't have to go into calling her name, but there was a young lady who was contesting in the last election, and there was a national debate televised. And the young lady makes a statement that Martin Luther King Jr. Was fighting for corruption to free the slaves. And I sat there and I said, no, man, I ain't just hear that. Now, here's my challenge. You have information at your fingertips. All you got to do is Google it.
Yeah.
Like she said in the
Yes.
forum, Google it. It ain't that hard to find out. But this is what I mean when I say they don't want to put in the work. That ain't hard to find out. Back in my day, we used to have to go look at an encyclopedia. God help you if your family couldn't afford to buy a set of encyclopedia, and you had to be searching page by page to get information. And the encyclopedia was limited in the amount of information it could provide because that was dated. Now you only gotta Google it. But yet you're gonna get on a national podium and make that kind of statement, which shows me you don't want to put in the work.
No.
Because this sounds good to say. That's all I'm saying here. So Rochelle says, I think that's something different. She wants to be a politician. Maybe if she had engaged in participatory engagement, that would not have occurred. Maybe if she had done her homework, maybe if she had put in the work, she would know that Martin Luther King Jr. ain't had nothing to do with slavery. But this is just an example of what we're trying to say here in terms of this younger generation. Instant, everything instant, not wanting to put in the work.
Right. So Rochelle, we applaud her for what the steps she's taking.
Listen, she was a brave young lady to come forward.
You, because many of us will not have done it. And we have seen it, we haven't. What we are saying is that in all of this, and we kind of digress from social media, what we're saying is nothing comes easy. If you're not willing to put in the work and do it right, it's not going to just be laid out there for you. And honey, if it is laid out there for you, when you get there, it's even harder to keep.
Yeah.
You have to understand, the young people have to understand that it's not about just voicing. It's not about just sending it around to how many friends or how many shares or likes you can get. It's more to that. Watch the young, and I'm saying this to Bahamian young people. And like Michelle noted earlier, there's some out there who's not conforming, they're pushing through.
Right.
But you have young people around the world fighting to keep the democracy, like you said, in their country, fighting. But here we are, we're just on social media. We're not downtown in the front of Parliament, refusing to let these politicians in that place until they hear us. We're not doing this. Young people around the world are motivated. Tell me, Bahamians, when are we going to get to that point? When are we going to get to the point that we show ourselves? I think the closest we came to it was when we had the 100,000 march.
Yeah, the We March.
The We March, the closest. But we sit in our spaces, or we sit in the front of that same instrument that you talk, that gave you so much freedom and you know, and awareness that you can share. The same social media template keeps us away from where we should be. Where we should be is down in Parliament, standing in the front of these politicians, letting them know that we are here and we will not go anywhere. That's what we want. A young people who are willing to stand up, fight, social media, physically, whatever it is we have to do to make a change in this country. So no, keep speaking, Rochelle. Keep making us aware of what's going on around there. We need that. But now let's be responsible in how we do that. And let's be intentional about how and what we want to do.
And at the very least, go vote.
Yes. Oh my God.
Because what is the use of you going on social media, talking about all the problems that you see and how we need to change, and but you ain't willing to do nothing to get the system dismantled that you are complaining about every day? What is the point?
Boy, Michelle, I was watching a movie the other day, and when I watch these movies and these lines, like they might say a statement or something, it just catch my attention because it keeps me so socially aware of what's going on. If I hear something that kind of ties into it, it just blows my mind.
Right.
And I was watching this movie, and the gentleman say, we crave the comfort of certainty. I just had to text it in a group I'm in the other day.
Wow.
And that blew my mind, that we crave, right? Just certainty. We don't want to be uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So we could run and say whatever we want, but until we are uncomfortable enough to push through what it is that frustrates us so much, like that day for me in Parliament, then there will be no change. So if we are afraid of uncertainty, because we're afraid, we don't know what's going to happen. It's like, okay, I better vote PLP or I better vote F&M, because to do something completely different, the country is going to fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
So that fear of that uncertainty keeps us in our place. And it doesn't matter what you say on social media. It doesn't matter what you send around. The day after election, darling, you're in the same spot.
Yeah.
And what are you doing? Sending things on social media and the same old thing. And you're right back there. And this is what I'm trying to understand, like I say, in this 6 months, as to see how we as a people, we know what needs to be done.
Mm.
I am certain and aware of that, Michelle. Everyone I spoke to knew what had to be done.
Right.
But yet they were not willing to do it. We're not willing to do it.
You touched on something that is universal to all humans, and that is fear of the unknown.
Yes. Yes.
We are stuck because of what we know.
Mhm.
We're stuck
Mhm.
within that. We're afraid of change, and
Mhm.
so even though you may not be happy with the situation that you have, at least you know the situation that you
Yes.
have,
Yes.
and that pain of that situation is for many people more bearable
That's
than the
right.
pain that they imagine they will
Right.
face
Yes.
if they make a change.
Yes.
That's the
Isn't that
problem.
something? It's crazy.
That's the problem.
That's it.
You know,
That's it.
and when you think about it, if that was the way of thinking when Sir Lyndon Pinling
That's
and
right.
his party
That's right.
came on the scene,
Mhm.
we would still
Exactly.
be
right
third,
there.
fourth, fifth, and
That's
sixth
right.
class citizens in our own
That's
country.
right. That's right.
Somebody had to be willing to
Mhm.
say, you know what, let me give these young
That's
people
right.
a chance. And they
That's
were
it.
young
Young.
visionaries.
Young.
They
Exactly.
weren't,
Mhm.
they weren't old men. These were young visionaries.
Young visionaries who were willing to put the work in, who was willing to stand up and fight and say, this will not happen. It has to be different. So this generation, and I also include myself in this, Michelle, because I'm going to tell you, my mom taught us to be decent, respectable citizens, get your college education, get a good job, take care of your children, and, be responsible. And for me, I find that I'm saying something completely different to my children. Not completely, but different.
Right.
I am telling my children, go out there and do what you love.
Mm.
Do what you love. That don't need no college education. That don't need no this, no that. If you love it, go after it and do it. You have millionaires who have never stepped a foot in college.
Mhm.
You have new millionaires now in our own country who never went to school for anything.
Microphone.
But the possibilities now, and this is how it's changing
Right.
in our country, right in front of our faces, and we don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
The technology, everything is changing. Look at us now. You can't go to government offices and pay with cash. Everything now has to be paid on card, and just recognize how this worldly system is moving around us.
Right.
And what are we doing as a country, as leadership, to encourage or inspire our children to be ready for that change? We're way behind, Michelle. Our schools are not ready. We're not technical savvy. We're not ready.
Yeah.
When just to hear that you can't pay with a debit card or you have to log on and Zoom and this, people are hysterical.
Oh, I know.
They are fearful. They're scared, and their children, oh, my child ain't going on that. I don't understand that. So look what we have now, a deficit in our education system. Our children are 2-3 years behind because of the COVID system. But what are we doing to educate ourselves on how we're going to move this country?
Yeah.
Like what's going on around us?
I want to read a comment from one of our Facebook viewers. Hasheen says, yes, you are 100% correct. The system needs to change. However, I don't think you are aware of how big the system really is. It appears that we want to pick and choose the part of the system we want.
No, sir. No, sir.
Please respond.
No, sir. Mr. Lockhart, it's the size of the system that really has me frustrated. But definitely no, I'm fearless against that. Meaning, if I keep looking at the size of the system, because I know what it is, and that's what keeps me motivated. That's what got me in the race, because the system is so huge. And it's looking back at me and telling me, you could try as much as you want, Miss Chipman Rolle. You could come as much as you want. You ain't changing this. Who are you? And that's what I defy. That's what I want to change. It is bigger than us. But guess what? We keep looking at this mountain and we don't understand that we make up the mountain. Come on, Bahamians. We are the system. We are the system, and the size of that systemic mountain that you're looking at comes back to us right in here within our mindset. That's as high as we want it to be, and that's as low as we want it to be. So when we are willing now to understand that we are, and we make up the system for any change we want to happen, and know that it begins with us, that's when we'll be in the position to move this country forward and uplift a generation.
It reminds me of the saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You don't try to tackle the whole thing all at once, because you will become overwhelmed. One bite at a time. And before you know it, that elephant will be gone.
Gone.
But you can't sit back and not do anything.
Not do anything.
Yeah.
We cannot.
The telephone lines to call if you'd like to get in on this conversation, 326-0271, 326-0271, 326-0271, or 326-0272, 326-0272. And our WhatsApp line is 824-9952. 824-9952 is the WhatsApp line. We're talking today to Fontella Chipman Rolle. Miss Change the System. And we're talking about what we need to do to change that system, because we can't be satisfied with just talking about change if we are not willing to put some skin in the game to affect the change that we want to see. But it really does begin with us as individuals. There's a saying, be the change you want to see. And a lot of times it's very easy for us, Fontella, to point the finger to say, we are where we are because you're not doing what you're supposed to do, or she's not doing, or they're not doing, or the politician isn't doing, or the church isn't doing what they're supposed to do. But we forget that we have a role to play in this as well.
That's right. They say that when you point the finger, the most fingers are pointing back at yourself, right? Mm-hmm. Michelle, if we as a people were to understand our role in what is happening in our country, we'll be far, far on our way. What I do believe is that we, Bahamians, are not ready and not willing to take the responsibility of the role they play. Now, we sit back and we complain, knowing that because of my silence, because I'm not willing to stand up, I'm not willing to speak out, then you too have given in to the system. You too are now, because you have done that, you're breeding a generation, your children, who will conform and do the same thing. If, and by God's some good grace, that they are inspired through some other avenue, because that's what we saw during the election, huh, Michelle? Mm-hmm. I walk into a house and the lady said, oh, we voting whatever. Mm-hmm. And all of these in here, they voting with me. They better vote for me or they getting out.
Right.
When you hear these type of statements and these things, you realize how far now we are as a people. because the children cannot even make up their mind. They cannot understand that they have a voice. They have to vote with mommy vote or they out the house, or, you know, when are we going to open ourselves up? And you see, that's why I how can I put this? This is why I depended so much on the young people on the last election.
Mm-hmm.
We understand that our parents and grandparents came from a time where they saw Sir Lyndon as the champion.
Absolutely.
And they wanted him to, you know, they knew they had to do this because of the progressiveness of Black people and to get them there.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow our generation doesn't seem to see the fight. They don't see the need to fight. So they sit back and they watch, right? And so I depended on the young people now to stand up because they know, I mean, that social media has exposed us to things around the world. Things are done differently.
Right.
And we want to take the good part of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And help us project us to where we need to be. But yet we don't see it. We don't see it. We don't see that stand up and that motivation that says, you know, I am different. I got to make it different for me and my family, not what my grandmother used to do. But they are aware, but yet something is holding them back. And I often say this, and I, you know, we might look at it and think of it in a joking manner, but I often ask God, I said, God, lift this spiritual, whatever it is over this country that's holding us down.
Take the blinders off the eyes.
Take it off, lift it up. Lift that cloud that is holding the Bahamian nation hostage within itself, you know, by Bahamians. Lift that, because foreigners come here, Michelle, and they thrive. They tend to even link together and thrive.
Yeah.
What about us?
Right.
What is it that is holding us back? And I often ask God to just, Lord, help us. Help us help ourselves. Help us to find you, seek you, and lift this cloud off this nation, because we are a blessed nation.
Oh, this is good stuff, Fonzie. Thank you so much. Okay, before we take this break, I want to read this advisory one more time. This advisory is coming in from the Met Department. The Department of Meteorology is advising that beachgoers should refrain from entering the waters due to rough surf and the high risk of dangerous rip currents. Met officials say hazardous beaching and boating conditions will continue today, and small craft operators are urged to remain in or near port, and residents in Eleuthera should exercise caution while crossing the glass window bridge. That's the Met Office advising beachgoers and boaters to exercise extreme caution due to rough weather conditions. Okay, so we're going to take this break. I want to say a big thank you to Byron Coley Austin and the folks at the Tiki Bikini Hut for sponsoring that segment of GPS Global Paradigm Shift. Listen, guys, if you want some amazing food in an incredibly safe, family-friendly atmosphere, great people, make you feel right at home, make you feel like you're part of the family, go check out the Tiki Bikini Hut. They are located on Junkanoo Beach, the best that there is to offer. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors. Stay with us.
Your body's immune system is under constant pressure from things like stress, lack of exercise, and toxins in the environment. It's crucial to be proactive and support your immune system with the nutrients it needs to function effectively. But it's often hard to get these nutrients from food alone. Introducing fast-acting Zinc Plus Immune Support by Longevity. Unlike zinc-only supplements, Zinc Plus Immune Support builds on the proven power of zinc and adds complementary nutrients to give your immune system extra support. Vitamin D helps balance the effects of zinc, while our proprietary blend of natural fruit and root extracts provides the extra help your immune system needs to work against daily stressors. And we've included Longevity's exclusive plant-derived minerals to give your body the minerals it needs, but can't get from food alone. And because Zinc Plus Immune Support is delivered in a great-tasting, sugar-free, berry-flavored lozenge, it encourages quicker absorption of all these nutrients into your body. Zinc Plus Immune Support. Zinc plus the extra support your body needs to promote a healthy immune system. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for a web pinch in
are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires, cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blessed love.
It's gotten harder and harder to get your daily requirement of vital nutrients from food alone. Without additional vitamin and nutrient support, your health and well-being can suffer drastically. That's why Z-Radical was specifically formulated. It combines a blend of antioxidant-rich vitamins, minerals, and botanicals with the protective powers of fucoidan to help fill the gaps from lack of nutrients in your foods. The core of Z-Radical is fucoidan, a naturally occurring polysaccharide that helps stimulate immune reaction, protecting you against inflammation and oxidative stress. We harvest this powerful mineral-rich nutrient from brown seaweed, harvested only from the world's most pristine ocean waters to ensure the purest quality. It's then extracted using cold process technology to ensure maximum levels of bioavailability. Then we add essential vitamins that help to protect your cardiovascular and nervous systems and are crucial for optimal immune and neurological function. Z-Radical also includes a proprietary blend of delicious antioxidant-rich fruits and berries. This great-tasting combination helps your body combat free radical imbalances that can contribute to a variety of degenerative conditions like arthritis and heart disease. Z-Radical. Experience the power of fucoidan with antioxidant-rich berries, 8 essential vitamins, and more to provide you with potent health benefits. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome back to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm in your company today. We're talking to Fontella Chipman Rolle about changing the system, moving from politicians to future influencers. Before we dive back into the conversation, I want to read one more time this advisory coming in from the Department of Meteorology, who is advising that the beachgoers should refrain from entering the waters due to rough surf and the high risk of dangerous rip currents. Met officials say hazardous beaching and boating conditions will continue today, and small craft operators are urged to remain in or near port, and residents in Eleuthera should exercise caution while crossing the Glass Window Bridge. That's the Met Office advising beachgoers and boaters to exercise extreme caution due to rough weather conditions. As I said, we are talking today to Fontella Chipman Rolle. We're talking about changing the system. And Fontella, I want to read a comment from one of our Facebook viewers. Derek says, "It is the economic system that we need to focus on changing. We have to move from capitalism to socialism, where we can have democracy at work. Capitalism is capitalizing on the poor. Without poverty, there can be no capitalism." What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, wow. Okay, Derek. I even sat and I thought about this, and we talk about democracy. We talk about, that's what we fight for, right? We want a democratic nation. We want to be heard, our voice, the numbers. Democracy goes back to numbers, right? The majority, if we decided that's what it is what we will do. I don't even know if that works for us, Derek. Now, this is my personal opinion, because as I was reminded by a great Bahamian as I watched him, he said, democracy is good, right? We vote, everybody wants to vote, and the majority wins. But what happens now is, if the majority is voting for something that is against the people, we have democracy, right? We have democracy, but is it right for the people? So we have the numbers. We have the numbers, but is it what we need to have for the people? So even with democracy, I am skeptical, because now it goes back to who is there, who is representing me, who is voting for me. That's why it's so hard for me to even buy into all the socialism, the capitalism, the everything-ism. We have to come back to who we are as a people, because even within our democracy, the numbers win, and yet the people still are hurting. What is happening? Someone even, we were in a discussion the other day about Mia Motley and a great victory. Landslide. But is it good? Now, Mia Motley, exceptional
It's
woman.
good for Mia
That's right.
and her party, but not necessarily good for democracy.
Not necessarily
because somebody got to
good
hold their feet
for
to the fire.
democracy.
Yeah, somebody got to hold their feet to the
So
fire.
really, Derek, I hear you. And for me, I just sit back and I watch and I try to understand all of this, because is it really now good for us? Is it? So we could sit back with all the isms and every way of doing things, but it comes back now to the people in these positions doing what is right for the people. If someone has a landslide and democracy spoke, who's holding them responsible? If they choose to do something against the people, it's their call. So who's holding them? So here we now come back to a personal responsibility to be responsible in the position we have, to make sure that we are making decisions that is better suited for the future generations of our nations, where it's Mia Motley, whether it's Mr. Brave Davis, whoever it is. It goes back now to that person doing the right, the godly thing, or what they believe is progress for their country. So for me, I'm not convinced whether we should have democracy. I mean, we should have democracy, but I don't know if it works for us. And I hear you with socialism, all of it. You're quite right. And it's possible it could. It's possible it's better than what we have now. But it all boils down to the people that we have put in these places now to make these decisions on our behalf. I don't care what type of government you have. The people behind the government is who we're looking at. That's what we're watching. That's how I feel.
I want to read another comment from another Facebook viewer. This one is from Charles. Charles says, early education in our system of government, along with financial management, can undo a lot of the evils that came along with our progress over the years. Now, Charles is onto something when it comes to our educational system, because our educational system, and I'm old enough to remember listen, I've never been to a private school in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I went from primary school up to high school in the government system.
Mm-hmm.
And the quality of education that we received back in the day was second to none. I remember when I went off to university in the United States, there was this one particular class that I took. It was Introduction to Literature, I think it was, right? Now, I had a bit of a problem, because my problem was that the class just happened to be the same time as General Hospital. And that was back in the Luke and Laura days of General Hospital. All of y'all who ain't old enough to understand, y'all got to understand, this was a big deal. General Hospital is a soap for those of you who know, right? This is back in the Luke and Laura days. At this class, I made the mistake of signing up for a class that was the same time that program was airing. I had a problem because I couldn't be missing the show. So what I decided to do, I said to one of the young ladies who lived in the same dorm that I did, an American young lady, I said, okay, let's make a deal. I'll watch the soap. You tell me what happened in class. And that way we know what's going on in the soap. I know what's going on in class, right? We did that. I remember when we came back from that summer break, I saw her the next semester. And she said, hey, Michelle, how you doing? I said, hey, girl, what's up? She said, how did you do in the class? I said, I did pretty good. What about you? She said, oh, I got a B. What did you get? I said, I got a B too. What? She was like, wait, you got a B? I'm like, yeah, I did. But you didn't go to class. Yeah, I didn't need to. I knew what the thing. Now, had I applied myself and gone to class, I would have gotten an A. Right? Mm-hmm. And I do remember that particular professor one day after we had to submit a paper. She was calling the students up one by one to collect the papers. Now, remember, she didn't see me all semester, so she didn't know who I was. So when it came to collect the paper, she says, Michelle Malcolm. I said, so she called me to her desk and she said, this was the best paper I've marked this semester. Mm-hmm. I said, oh, wow, thanks. She says, this is incredible. Where did you, And when she found that I was from the Bahamas, you know what that woman said to me? Mm-hmm. what do you have going on in the education system in the Bahamas that we're missing here in the United States? Right? That is the level of education that was provided to us in this country in the government school system.
Yes.
Okay? So for people who are too young to know that, they think that all it's ever been is what it is now. But it wasn't that way.
That's right.
So how much of a role does us fixing the education system play in this whole conversation about changing the system that is keeping us shackled as a nation?
Let me tell you something, Michelle. That is key. That is key. And that's exactly what I was talking about when I said we have to go back to the primary school level and re-educate, start changing this all over again. I just want to inject there. Michelle, you know, when a person left here in high school and went to the States, they used to go like 2 grades higher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
2 grades
absolutely.
higher.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to bring that in there
This is
because
true.
I remember back in the day, and you're quite correct. But the education system needs to be, I don't know, break it down, man, and break it down and start again. Like start sketching all over again. Somewhere we have totally disconnected and we have totally took ourselves away from the fact that educating our children mean that our country will progress and we'll be on a different level. Now, is that intentional? Let's ask ourselves, is that intentional? For if we have an uneducated people, they're easier to lead. Eh?
Yes.
So is it intentional?
No, not easier to lead. Easier to control. There's a difference.
And well, both of them happen. Yeah, both of them. Because if we're not educated, right, we have no confidence. We have no knowledge.
I got to rely on you.
I got to rely on you. Come this way, go that way, do this, be quiet, speak up. So is it intentional?
I would dare say yes.
Intentional to keep our children
dismantling of the education
That's right.
system. Yeah.
Keep us separated. Keep us not understanding our value, our worth, that contribution we can make if we were to empower that 5-year-old and tell them that they can create the next cell phone or the next big thing out there.
Right.
So they hold us hostage. And look at it. I mean, in my small, short political aspiration, I could see what is happening in this country. Our schools are never ready. Never ready. We slap some paint on the outside. It's like putting lipstick on the lip, like I say, and you look inside and your mouth is full of cavities.
My God.
So this is what we do. They're never ready. The teachers are frustrated. They're not educated. When I say that, they know they're supposed to have courses that they do to get them motivated and to get them on another level to inspire our kids. We don't have time for that. We're playing too much politics. That our children and that our whole education system needs to be revamped, right from the primary. And we need to do some weeding out, Michelle. Those teachers who are frustrated, move them out. If we can't sit and understand exactly what it is that is causing that frustration, whether it's the unions, whether it is the fact that our teachers can't even be paid on time, Michelle, whatever the avenue and whatever the reason, we need to take the time out as good leadership to understand where we are. And I'm going to tell you, even in college, you say Jamaica, their dollar is not even close to ours. But let me tell you, those Jamaicans have some confidence out of this world.
Not only that, but they take their education so serious.
Oh,
listen, that ain't no joke.
No joke.
You hear me? Because they realize that is the way out.
That's the way out.
For them, that's the way out. So they don't play around when it comes to their education.
No. So what happened? What happened from that education that you remember to now?
Yeah, that's a good question.
What happened? We had teachers who were happy doing what they were doing, inspiring a nation. We had great leaders come out of from those same teachers who were so committed to what they're doing. What is it too that leadership is not doing to make sure that our teachers are comfortable? What is it that they're doing that make sure that they are satisfied? Michelle, I went to mentor a group at a school. I can't begin to tell you that the school is a literal dump. Terrible.
This is a government school.
This is a government school. How can we expect our children to learn in an environment like that? And the teacher said she had to buy whatever she had out of her own money. All the education things on the wall, all the letters, everything in the room, she had to do with her own money. Her husband had to come and ping the classroom. Is this where we are when we are billions of dollars in debt?
But here's the thing, it still is, I believe, the lion's share of the budget goes to education. Does it not?
Where is it going? What are we buying? Where is it going? And the results are speaking for itself. We don't have to look around. We don't even have to check it. If our children, the results speak for itself.
Yeah.
So take that money and put it someplace else because it's not doing what it's supposed to do.
Wow.
But we play around with our children's future, right? I like I said, I stayed away from making any political remarks, but I sat back the other day and I know that the Minister of Education said we're going to go back to school full time. And then, of course, the former Minister of Education is running on with everything. And, I just sat back and I look at them and just, it makes me sick to my stomach. You were there.
Exactly.
You were there.
And you ain't get it done.
You were there. 6 months ago, you were there. 3 years ago, you were there. And now you have so much to say. This blows my mind. And if the people, the Bahamian people would sit back and see what's playing out in the front of them, it's all a game to these people.
Listen.
It's all a game.
A game.
And we have to understand what's playing out in front of us. The movie is live. And if we sit back and don't be participants, we will continue to watch the movie right into the future. And we'll be in the same slave position that we're in now.
And that is not an option. I have to tell you, I say it often on the show. Yeah. I am very concerned with the Bahamas in which we live. This is not. This is a scary place to be. And I'm not trying to be an alarmist. I'm not trying to be a pessimist. I'm just speaking my truth.
Yes.
And because I'm old enough to remember what the Bahamas was. Yes. And whereas, there were many things that we did not have access to, like all of the technological advancements that are now available to us. The quality of life, I dare say, for the masses was far better than what they are enjoying now. Now, you got a handful, about 8 to 12 families who the quality of life was always incredible. And, and I ain't going nowhere.
That ain't going nowhere.
They setting themselves up. And their grandchildren and great grandchildren there. So they good. Yeah. I'm not talking about them because that life was always good for them. Yeah. But generally speaking, I'm talking about the masses back in the day. The quality of life, we did not have as much, but the quality of life was far better than what I see our people now experiencing.
The spread was wide A. It was more leveled. Most of us had a better life. And I sit back, Michelle, and I go to the food store now. Walk out the food store with one bag.
Listen, good. Don't get me started on that.
Listen, and no meat. No meat. Meat is carry the biggest bulk. No meat. $100 and something, $200, somebody's salary for the week. And we sit back and we don't say a word.
And you're wondering how people surviving?
I'm wondering how they surviving. A light bill as much as mortgage. How are you surviving? But we're walking around here every day, Michelle. Someone made a statement to me. They said, Fontella, let me tell you, a lot of people are going to be losing their heads. I said, glory to God. So watch it and see. You'll see more and more people.
Walking the street talking Lambo.
Walking the streets talking. And Michelle, it has come to pass.
I've seen it.
It has come to pass.
And a lot of young people, especially.
Young people.
Yeah.
young people who were intelligent people who we said, oh, he's going to be this.
Right.
He's the leader of the class.
Right.
Recognize what is happening to this country. And it's a scary position, but yet I watch people move around like everything is so still in order.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is still in order. Something has to happen in this country. You know, we say we reduce VAT to 10%. Everyone go, yay, yay. How much has that improved your life? How much has that improved your life? We lower this, but raise this. Watch the games. Watch the games.
Wow.
And yet we're not educated enough, or our eyes are not opened enough to see. And when I say education, I'm talking about knowledge, knowing what's going on, recognizing and saying that this can't go on any further. I have to understand my role in this and see what I can do. Michelle, for me, it's even, you know, I got, like I said, the last election was something. But as I sat back and I realized, I said, you know what, Fontella, and this is what I used to tell my brother. I said, Reese, keep going. One person at a time. You inspire and you tell that truth to one person. We just got to let that person tell the truth to the next person. And we're going to pray, God, that domino effect take place. And one day all of us come together and make that change. Mm-hmm. And I found he was telling me it during the time, because I would say to him, you know, Reese, well, this is what I experienced today. And he'll say, Fontella, remember what you said to me, one day at a time.
Right.
So we used to be encouraging each other that we just need to go out there, tell the truth, and open people's eyes to what's happening in our country, and pray, God, that it will make a massive move, that the numbers understand that we have to make this change. So we continue to do that, to speak to each person, to touch each person. And as I realized that God didn't have it in his timing for me to be there this time, I made the decision that every young person I touch, every young person that's around me, I will inspire them. I will encourage them. I would let them know that anything they dream of is possible, mm-hmm. right here in this country, not someplace else, here in this country. Because you find that we get educated and we leave. And I myself, Michelle, I didn't have no intentions of coming back to this country. I believe God brought me back here. Because if I didn't have a situation, my daughter getting sick, and you know, Bahamian family, when something happened, you know, you got to have the family around. Right. Mommy can take care of her. I can take care of her. Mm-hmm. So I moved back home, but not understanding the struggle. I was here working 2 jobs, Michelle, 7 days a week. You hear me? 7 nights a week, 5 days a week. I was offshore banking, and I was doing my entertainment with my family 7 days a week to Atlantis. I did that. And that struggle was real. But the good thing about it is I love doing both. I love my degree. I love my entertainment. Right. So I was in my element. Mm-hmm. But even then, I even understood the struggle of entertainers, Michelle, who only have seasonal jobs. Yeah. Leadership would allow people to come into our country, perform, and our entertainers have nothing. So all around this scope, I started to understand and realize how the Bahamian people have been pushed down, everybody else elevated, and the leadership quite fine with it. We cannot have it. Every aspect you go into our country, you could see and feel education, the entertainers, the people in the straw market, every avenue, you could feel that there is something more we could be doing to make sure that our people are better off. It's something more. Our children fighting each other, killing each other in the schools. What is happening socially in our environment? Are we willing to get down in the dirt and find out what's happening? Are we willing, instead of our positions, to be sitting there and traveling the world at the expense of the Bahamian people? What have you done to make sure that something has changed during your tenure in that position? What are we? We're just here to facilitate your little political dream. And when you leave a millionaire and everything is the same or even worse.
Ah, boy, this is good stuff. But listen, y'all, we want to hear from y'all. Telephone lines ain't changed. 3260271, 3260271, 3260271, or 3260272, 3260272, and the WhatsApp line is 824-9952, 824-9952. I'm talking today to Fontella Chipman Rolle, and we are talking about changing the system, moving from politicians to future influencers. What do we need to do to get beyond this shackle of party politics that seems to just keep us stuck in one place? Is it possible to break that shackle? Again, the numbers 32602. We have a call coming in, so just hold that thought, Bonzi. 3260271, 3260271, or 3260272, 3260272, and the WhatsApp line is 824-9952, 824-9952. So while we wait for that call, Stone says the amount of people who participate in meaningless discussions on social media versus those who participate in more meaningful educational talk provides us with a good view of where we are headed. Is that a caller for the show? Okay, caller, welcome to GPS. And we need you to turn your radio down, please.
Go ahead.
We're listening. Go ahead.
Yes, the problem is that we have in the Bahamas right now, as an individual, we have too much foreigners. And we are not focusing on our own Bahamians.
Now, when you say too much foreigners, what you mean by that?
Illegal, well, I'll say foreigners that live in the Bahamas. That everybody as a Bahamian supposed to have a Bahamian passport, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every foreigner have their own passport. Why don't they just limit it, the Bahamians who are regular Bahamians with a Bahamian passport and those who are foreigners with a Max passport, showing that what nation that they are from. And that should be able to solve a lot of things that's going on as Bahamians and different nations.
So you're saying illegal immigration. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for calling. Fontella, how do you respond to that caller?
I wasn't quite clear as to what he was speaking about, because if you're saying illegal immigration, that is something that we have had in this country for such a long time, right? I don't think it's going to go anywhere. When you see that a country that like Haiti, that is so close to us, that is in such desperate need, people will take whatever extreme measures, which they are. They're really risking their lives. And what I am afraid of, the Bahamas becoming just that. So for me, yes, we have a problem of illegal immigration. And that's not a problem just here. We have a lot of that going on all over the world. But that's the desperation, right, of a country that's destituted. But I don't tend to agree with illegal immigration or foreigners being our problem. I am so convinced that the mindset of our Bahamian people is what bring us to this point. Foreigners can be here. They will always be here. We will always have foreigners, whether they're white foreigners, whether they're black, because they will come here for whatever reason, illegally or investments. It doesn't matter. How we, the Bahamians, now use that to make us better or progress is a difference. Illegal immigration, we know, right, what we have to do. As Bahamians, we still do things we know we shouldn't do, right? If we're here illegally, then we know we shouldn't do these things, but yet we do it.
Yeah.
So here the ball comes rolling back to who? Back to us.
Yeah. We have a call on the line, but before I go to that call, let me just say in response to what you just said, I hear a lot of people complaining, oh, you go to fish fry and all you're hearing is Creole, all you're hearing is Creole, all you're hearing is Creole. And so my question is, don't you remember when all Bahamians were there? So what happened for that switch to happen? Somebody who was a Bahamian had to decide, I want to sell or lease or whatever to this person who's speaking Creole. So why are you getting vexed at the people who speak in Creole?
It's not responsibility.
Bahamians were involved in that decision.
That's right.
Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Pleasant good afternoon to you, Michelle, and to your guest, Ms. Rolle.
Same to you.
Good afternoon, Bahamas. Derek Benjamin Demeritt Jr. here. With respect to changing the system, I want to say that we have an economic problem where the system is concerned, because I mentioned democracy at work. And Ms. Rolle was talking about democracy in politics.
Mm-hmm.
You see, it is not synonymous, right? And so it's from the bottom to the top strategy. And at the bottom, we are not being dealt with fairly. Okay. And so let's look at the corporation, for example, the hotel, etc. All right. So you would have the dominant shareholders. And the dominant shareholders will then point who should be on the board. It's a small group of people, after which then you have the employees. But the employees are not able to vote to make a decision with respect to how the environment should run, or profits or surplus, you see, because evidently the hotel is consuming much from the employee, you see, and so that's democracy at work. We are being robbed out of democracy at work.
Gotcha.
You see? Yeah. Now, on top of that, with respect to the educational system, our deficit is the curriculum. Okay, the system is one thing, but again, what is it you feeding us? What is our diet? You see, and so you would find that people have a monopoly on the educational system, and I think that's something which you all address. It is intentional, okay, because you would find that there's a monopoly on the media, and there's a monopoly on all these different things, and that is to keep you boxed in. You see, and that's just the way it is. You understand? But I just want to say in conclusion, with respect to the system and how we should approach it, at the end of the day, what we need is a social movement. I think it was Lincoln Bain who had a movement before he decided to have a political party. And that particular movement was consistent with PLPs, FNMs, DNA. Everyone was a part of that, you see. And so when he decided to go another route, then people decide to go in their own corner, you see. But what we need is a social movement so that we could then come together and learn how to socialize and how to agree with one another and how to become a community once again. Because what we have is neighborhoods, you see. It's just a hood with a bunch of neighbors, you see. And so what we need is community. And so we have to understand the concept of community, and it's just so much study, you see. But again, we have a problem with our economic system, and we are being robbed economically, you see. And so we should focus on that with respect to having a movement, a social movement, you see.
All right. Thank you so much
Thank you.
for calling.
No problem.
Fonzie, you want to respond real quick because we got to go to a break. You want to
Okay,
respond?
quickly. Derek, I appreciate your comments, and everything you said is quite correct. Now, what you mentioned there was social movement, and that is it right there. We need a social movement, right? And that's great. Now, just like Mr. Lincoln Bain, he started a social movement. And you said when he started to transition over to the politician, then, you know, everybody decided to go in their own way. In this country, I recognize that we could have all the social movements we want. We could get our groups together. We could do what we want and say we're going to do this. But in that leadership doesn't have to listen to you at all. So tell me, Mr. Derek, how do we move from this social movement where we learn to be like how we were, community-minded, progressive? How do we move from there now to that leadership position where we make the decisions to change the way we are in our country? Mr. Lincoln Bain, you said tried it. He moved from this social movement going into politics now, it's party, and yet we choose to do something different. Me, I could be there working and inspiring and encouraging our young people, gathering our communities socially, making a move, knowing what we have to do. Now, when I decide to run in politics, how does it shift the dynamics? Why do I choose now? Why do the people choose now not to vote for me because I went to the politics area? And it's because I know that only through politics that I can be in the leadership position to change anything else. Socially, we could get together. Socially, we could do everything. But we have lived in a time where we saw that our leadership doesn't even care about that. They hold their referendums and they do something completely different. So the social movement is all good. And you're quite correct, because that's what it has to come down to the bottom, get back to the people. But now if we're not in those positions, or the like-minded are not in the right position to do that change, what happens? We're back to the beginning.
Yeah. I want to read a message that was sent to us via WhatsApp. This listener says, Bahamians have become too politicized. As long as their party's in power, they really don't care whether they do good or bad. And politicians know that and play them against each other. Is that a caller for the show? Okay. Okay, we're going to take a break. We are past our break time, actually, but this conversation is so good. You don't want to stop, but we have to take a break because we got to pay our bills, y'all. So we're going to take this quick break on GPS. When we come back, we're going to continue the conversation with Fontella Chipman Rolle. We're talking about changing the system, moving from politicians to future influencers. This is GPS.
Follow us on all social media. Like us on Facebook at Global 99.5 FM.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, tints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Track Life, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires, cars, homes, and commercial window tinting.
And we are back. Welcome back to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm in your company. My guest today is Fontella Chipman Rolle. We're talking about changing the system, moving from politicians to future influencers. Our telephone lines 3260271, 3260271, 3260271, or 3260272, 3260272, 3260272, and our WhatsApp number is 824-9952, 824-9952. Before we dive back into the conversation, one more time, this advisory coming in from the Department of Meteorology. The Department of Meteorology wishes to advise that beachgoers should refrain from entering the waters due to rough surf and the high risk of dangerous rip currents. Met officials say hazardous beaching and boating conditions will continue throughout the day. Small craft operators are urged to remain in or near port, and residents in Eleuthera should exercise caution while crossing the Glass Window Bridge. That's the Met Office advising beachgoers and boaters to exercise extreme caution due to rough weather conditions. All right, so let's get back into this conversation. We're talking to Fontella Chipman Rolle, and we're talking about changing the system, and would love to hear from you. Our telephone lines again, 3260271, 3260271, 3260271, or 3260272, 3260272. Now, that last caller said something that resonated with you. He talked about what we are being fed.
Yeah.
As an holistic health coach, I teach people all the time. I tell people all the time that there's only so much that nutrition can do.
Yeah.
If you continue to eat poorly, you're wasting your time and energy, because it's only so much nutrition can do. What you feed yourself, what you put into your system, has a direct impact on the level of health that you enjoy. There is no way around it. So you can't feed yourself consistently garbage and expect to have a good outcome.
Yes.
How does that relate to what we're talking about today as it speaks to our system?
And that stood out when Mr. Derek spoke. I mean, that was powerful. And so again, I keep bringing it back to us, Michelle. I keep bringing it back to us as a people, a personal responsibility. So you're being fed. What you're being fed, you're not happy with it. And yet we know that what we're putting in, we're not looking the way we want to look. It's not, we're not doing what we want, being who we want to be. We want to be lively, rejuvenated. It's not happening, like Michelle said. So why is it, as a people, we know it's not working? What's being fed to us is poisoning our system. And yet we vote the same people in to do it to us all over again. We as a people need to ask ourselves, why do we allow this to happen to us? We know the education system isn't working for our children, yet every 5 years we recycle and we regurgitate the same people over and over to do it to us. Who wasn't there the last time? They sit back and wait for 5 years. They know their party is going to be voted in the next 5 years. They come back and they do nothing. They do absolutely nothing. They regurgitate people from old boards and put them back on new boards and 40-year-olds.
Fonzie, the problem is the first 5 years, you got to pay people back. You got to take care of people for what they do to help you get in. So that's the first 5 years. But when you hear what the former prime minister say? Next time I get check for the poor. Now, it's next time for y'all. This time I had to take care of my people. That's the system.
That's the system.
We have a call on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS. I need you to turn your radio down because we're getting feedback, okay?
Yeah, can you, hello?
Yes, we can hear you. You're on the air.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, can you hear me now?
We can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Okay, yeah, I was just saying that I'm calling from Grand Bahama. Good evening, good day, everyone.
Hello.
I'm saying that we have a problem in seeing with any political party that's on board. We need to put in place a structure for accountability if a member is not performing or achieving what was promised. I think they should be put on probation. And if they can't do the job, remove them. And it's okay if they don't know to ask the public, what can we do? How can we make it better? They'll be surprised that they can learn from us, the citizens here on Grand Bahama or the Bahamas. We're the ones living in it. And then Grand Bahama, it feels like, we're like from a third world country where we're not treated right. And it's over and over. It's the same cycle. Every party that comes in, we're getting so fed up of voting now. People are so turned off. It seems like the only thing that we get at the end of election is a purple sum because the promises are made and they're all broken. I heard the lady speaking and she is so passionate, and we feel like if a female is there, the compassion is totally different than, males who, I'm not saying anything is wrong with a male leader, but I think a female leader is so much more passionate because she feels more and she knows more what people go through. That's just my view.
All right. Thank you so much for calling all the way from Grand Bahama. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Grand Bahama.
Thank you so much.
I want to speak on that. Grand Bahama, what we, the people, have to understand is that the people that we put in these positions are always on probation. They are always on probation. It is us, the people, who can put them there or remove them at any time we see fit that they have abused their right to the leadership position that we have placed them in. This is what we have lost touch with. The people have the control. I think I was the only candidate who made a statement and said, if I was elected to parliament and if I did not do what I say or went against the people in the terms of which I ran my political campaign, I will resign. Never have it been said before, never have it been done before. But yet people could not relate to it because we don't understand that we have the power. So you say you ran on political, your message was a certain way, or you say you were going to do this and do that, and you didn't. You have the right to demand that person resign from his position because he did not hold true to what he said. The people do not understand their power with the leadership in this country. They
I
don't
think
have
that's
to
key.
stay there for 5 years.
That's key. People don't understand their power. They don't
No.
understand the privilege that is already theirs.
Exactly.
They don't understand. And it reminds me of a story that I once heard, and I think it's a true story. But anyway, it makes a great illustration. I think Pastor Miles actually told this story. It was about these people taking a voyage on some big fancy ship back in the day, and this poor person had saved up everything that they could save to take this voyage across from Europe to the United States. They saved everything, and they're sitting there on this voyage, and every day while everybody is out enjoying dinner, they sit down on the deck and they just eating their cheese and crackers that they took with them, and they watching these people eat the finest of everything, and they figure, well, I can't afford that, so I'm just grateful to be on this boat, and so they eating their cheese and crackers. And the last day of the voyage, somebody came from within the dining room and went out there and said, "What do you have against us?" And the person said, "I don't understand what you mean, sir." He said, why didn't you eat with us the whole journey?" And he said, I couldn't afford to eat in there, sir. I only could afford the cheese and crackers that I bought. And the man said, "But that was included in the price of your ticket."
All included.
All included. So all that time he could have been eating the finest, but he didn't understand that he was already entitled to that.
Entitled, exactly.
This what we dealing with.
This what we dealing with. That's right.
Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, welcome to GPS. Oh, no, we lost that caller. Yeah, Fonzie, this is the problem. We don't understand that we have the power. We put these people in position and have them thinking that they lording over us.
That's right.
And we sitting down eating on this cheese and crackers and thinking that's all we could afford.
And grateful. And we grateful. That's it. We are so grateful to have that cheese and crackers. When, guess what? The politician know that that's the steak, what he have hide in the corner, belongs to you. That's what it is. And this is what I even the young people that are around me today, I keep encouraging them and just letting them know that everything you see here belongs to you. You're entitled. Nobody has to come here and tell you what they will do for you. You can do it for yourself. You don't have to leave them in these positions. They sell you the dreams. That's not up to them. It's up to you.
So let's talk about what is the difference between a politician and a future influencer. Break that down for us, please.
Boy, I think I once read, it says, I can't remember how the quote goes, but it says, the politician thinks more about popularity. He doesn't think about the truth. And I'm not saying this to label any politician,
right?
But I'm just making a general consensus that a politician has lost its luster. Even to be a politician, it's a what can I say? It's a stigma that goes along with it. Because even me, people were saying, "I don't know, you want to be a politician?
Why you want to get mixed up in that?"
Why?
Yeah, I heard it.
Why you want to get mixed up in that, girl? You don't want to do that. You know, all of them is this and all of them is that.
Yeah.
But look what we have settled for. We've settled for those politicians who have become just that to us, that we look on it as in disdain, but yet we do nothing to change it. I was watching, I'm a big fan of Africa and African leadership. I do believe that there is a spiritual connection with Black people in terms of all around the world connected to Africa. And, I was listening to a great guy by the name of Patrick Lumumba, and he said, for some reason, we don't like people who want to do good for us. For some reason, we are not taken in by people who really mean us well. Politics, on the whole, drives a system that even help us turn against ourselves because that person too good to be true. I better go over here with what I know, even though what they were getting was nothing. They rather go with what they know and that nothingness, because that person that can be real, that they want to do this, they want to help, they want to do the right thing, they want the truth.
Right.
And so we reject that as a people. And maybe it's the mindset of us, of Black people on the whole, of what we do to each other. But it's so serious in terms of our progress and where we are and where we could be. We see it happening all around the world. And we relate to it as divide and conquer, how they know that our strength is in the numbers, in the mindset, especially of Black people.
Right.
But what we have to understand is this power that we have, if we don't find that within ourselves, to ignite that power so we can move ahead, and each one of us catching onto that little flame, to take that responsibility to say, I will change a generation so that it will be different. I'm not going to be here. I might not see it. But I have to take that little spark that I have and ignite that fire so that we continue to push forward to make this change. Now, the influencers, when we say influencers, Michelle, every one of us, I deem, is an influencer.
Right.
We all have that role we can play. Just how you speak on this show, you encourage and you inspire. I could be on the street just sitting down with a girlfriend, and she's listening to me. She wants to know what I think, what I hear, what I believe. I could go out in the park, in the basketball court, and I'm sitting there and I'm talking, and I'm influencing the people that I'm around.
Right.
But now, what is the right influence? Because we have the negative and we have the positive.
This is true.
So how now do we connect with the right influences?
Okay, so another thing that we need to be concerned about, and we are running out of time, but another thing we need to be concerned about, and I'm gonna preface this point I'm gonna make with a little joke I heard a couple of days ago. I thought it was quite funny. So there's this barber, and he decided to do a special where for the whole week he's going to give free service. So a fisherman walks in and he, gives him a great cut, and the fisherman tries to pay him, and he says, "I'm sorry, sir, but I cannot take your money. This is my community service this week. Just go and." And so the next day the guy comes back with a kid of fish and says, "Listen, you wouldn't take my money, but take this kid of fish." So the next day, a police officer comes in, and the same drill. The guy gives him a great haircut. The police officer tries to pay him. He says, "I'm sorry, sir, but this is my community service. I can't take your money." So the next day the police officer comes in with a box of donuts. He says, "Here, this is the least I can do. Thank you so much for your generosity." So the next day a politician comes in. Same drill. Guy gives him a great haircut. Politician tries to pay him. He says, "I'm sorry, sir, but I cannot take your money. This is community service week." Politician says, "Thanks." The next day, about 10 politicians were lined up outside to get their free haircut. So here's the point. I thought it was funny too. Here's the point. Are we too busy electing politicians as opposed to statesmen and women who have a genuine desire to see their nation become better? Is it our fault for only looking at them as politicians as opposed to requiring them to have a heart to give something back?
Yes.
Is that why we are where we are?
I can't find the word, the literal word to express what it is I believe that as a culture, as a people, we suffer from. And I think it's on a humanistic nature. Because if someone, and I experienced this myself, if someone sees you in a certain light, and now you're coming to them in a different light, like myself, and I will use myself as an example.
Right.
And this is okay. This is perfect. I'm a beauty queen. And so society labels us, right? Like we're just beauty and nothing else happens after that. You're no brains.
Yeah.
You're just beauty. Everything is physical and everything is outer appearance.
Right.
And so now you're saying you want to be a politician. You want to go in there, your heart is right in the right place. You want to do things, but society has already
boxed you in.
And that works against you. The man walked up to me, Michelle, and you know what this man said to me? He said, I want to bet you if you'll even get 10 votes. And you know why? I stood there right in front of my team. I said, why? He said, you're too pretty. People don't vote for pretty.
Wow.
Michelle, and you might think, I stood there and say, this
Wow.
can't be happening. But I'm going to tell you, it happens.
Well, I've heard females say that they were going to vote in past elections for certain people because they're cute.
I am telling
Yeah.
you, this is where we are. Here we go back now again, Michelle. We're going back to the mentality of our people.
True. We have we have a caller on the line, and I
Okay.
want to get to this last call in before we end the show. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Michelle, this is me once again. I just want to add to this because this is so interesting and this is perfect for me. I just want to say with respect to politicians and leaders, they are not synonymous. And so Dr. Miles Monroe reminds us it's about transforming followers into leaders and leaders
into agents of change.
Yes.
Exactly. You see? And so the politicians is professional manipulators, respectfully, okay? But leaders, all right, lead by not only example, but they inspire us.
Yeah.
You understand where I come from? They provide a source of inspiration to do what is right, because right and good too is another conversation. You understand? And so again, politicians are concerned about the next election, but leaders, on the other hand, are concerned about the next generation. And so we cannot seek to be politicians anymore.
Right.
You understand? We need to bring forth the leader that is on the inside of us so that we can bring change to our surroundings and our environment. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Very much
I
so.
thank you for this time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for calling. Good stuff.
All right.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you,
ma'am.
Derek.
That's a very good point.
Very good point. Very good point. And I remember listening to Miles Monroe speak on that. And it is so true. And it's so sad to know that we're in a space where politicians are known as master manipulators, right? These are the people who are in the positions to make these changes. And yet we refer to them as master manipulators. But he is quite correct in terms of leaders, and as Miles Monroe would say, Dr. Miles Monroe would say, leaders, they are not afraid to teach what they know. They are not afraid to groom other leaders.
Right.
Where we have these politicians or people we know in these positions who tend to cap us to this point that we don't know certain things, so they could always have the helm. They want to be on the top.
Right.
So he is quite correct in the separation, and it's not synonymous in terms of how we use them. But how, Derek? I need you to help me because, Michelle, we need righteous leaders that will be politicians. Can I say that? Because we need these leaders now to be in the positions of politics to change this country or to make the significant change that we need, because they are in the positions. They are the ones who vote in parliament. We don't.
Fonzie, we got to do a part two because I need you to give me 30-second wrap up so we can get out of here. Time is gone. This is, they say time flies when you're having fun. This flew by.
I am so grateful, especially to Derek, Rochelle, all those people that called into the show, because this is what it's going to take. It's going to take a community like you spoke of, Derek. It's going to take that social movement between all of us, every island, every individual, and every settlement, to understand what is going on in our country and to bring it all together and to come to some agreement as to how we're going to change this system. We're not going to look at the size. We're not going to think of the magnitude of what it is. We're going to do just like we said before. We're going to eat that elephant bit by bit. We know that it's something that we have to do. So don't let us be discouraged as to what needs to be done. We know what needs to be done. All we need to do is get acclimated, get initiated, form that social movement, like you said, Derek, and come to that agreement that we will make this change. We will. It will happen.
Fontella, this has been a tremendous pleasure. Thank you so
girlfriend.
much
It's
for
always
being
good to
here.
be with you.
Always, man. Always a good conversation when you are in the mix. Thank you so
Thank you,
much. And I'll
darling.
be calling on you again
Yes.
soon. All right, that's it for the show today. I'm Michelle Malcolm. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift, here on Global 99.5 FM. Tomorrow is Wellness Wednesday, so make sure you tune in if you want to learn about how you and yours can live a healthier life. That'll do it. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a good afternoon, everybody.
Global 99.5 FM reminds our listeners that the views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the host and guests and not necessarily the opinions of the owners of Global Communications Network and the operators of this radio station.
This is 99.5 Global FM, your